commercial quote!
I saw this boat in half!
In the 1986 Transformers film, continuing from the cartoon, the Autobots and Decepticons came across Junkion, a planet filled with stuff long forgotten. But another man's trash is another man's treasure according to its civilization, led by Wreck-Gar. To sum it up, you know the loud half-hour infomercials late at night you kept on the TV because you didn't want to bother with the clicker? Well, Wreck-Gar talks like that all the time. Honestly, sometimes it's hard to know exactly what he's saying, but that's part of its charm. In Power of the Primes, Wreck-Gar returns with a Walgreens exclusive, because everyone loves that! To its credit, it was in EB Games, but I never found it. Thanks to the Dabber Supreme for sending this figure, I really do appreciate it. This two-wheel television set, for those who still know what that is, transforms into a bike. But wait! Doesn't he transform into a garbage truck like in animated? Look, not every garbage truck in Transformers is going to be Wreck-Gar. It's Steve Buscemi voicing Day Trader. Get over it. Keeping the original style, but if you're thinking this form is familiar, that's because this is a repaint of the Combiner Wars Groove figure. Funny because not only is this not the first time this character was repainted in Generations, but this is the second time coming off a Groove mold. Well, it's gonna be hard to discuss this without comparing it to the Reveal the Shields design, which was a completely brand new mold for the Junkions. While I think the dirt bike certainly fits the character, in all honesty, this feels closer to representing the old toy. The boxy aesthetic and wide windshield seems pretty fitting, and even though the arms are right there, the original had just legs. So while the mold seems to sit comfortably in its skin, the deco seems a bit boring. I mean, this is nitpick territory, but he's covered in this burnt orange in most of the body. There are other colors in the mix, but you can add some tan or something. He's supposed to look like scrap, have fun. If everything goes right, the wheel with the wonderful red rims roll incredibly well. If only, well, that's okay, Wreck-Gar has a kickstand. Also, you can tilt the front wheel side to side, but at the risk of breaking those bars, I'd rather keep it in a static pose. Now, being a Deluxe, this bike seems out of scale, but the benefit is that the original character was from another planet entirely, where the same people could ride each other in the most filthy orgy. The original Reveal the Shields toy could do this with duplicate molds with adapting tabs, but it's a little more awkward with this. It is a Groove remold after all, so I didn't really expect it to work. However, if you have a Bone Crusher sized thigh gap, you can create the best anime crossover. Now you can add the weapons to the sides, top, or back, but this is where things kind of break apart. Groove came with the hand-foot guns of Combiner Wars, so the Prime armor fits in fine, but the saw blade was used from another figure entirely. We'll get into that later, but it does have a clip you can softly attach to the handlebars, or you can try to use the peg, but this throw-in weapon was never originally meant to incorporate with this figure. What I prefer to do is plug the Prime armor on the back, fold up the saw blade, and combine the two. The Prime armor flows with the back, adding the spikes, giving it something wild. And the saw stores like on Ray's speeder bike.
No one suspects a bike with a pizza cutter.
So while this isn't as exciting as you may hope for with the Wreck-Gar, it is a surprise just how well the idea fits the mold. I think this is a pretty fair repaint that can easily be looked over from the older incarnation of a Deluxe toy. Robot mode. In robot mode, I'm fine calling this a Wreck-Gar. Maybe a little cleaned up by comparison, and I wish the tire could be used as a shield, but that's wishful thinking. Though it's missing those hard nips. Now that's just in poor taste. I do like certain areas that come together to fit with this status. The arms and upper legs look like they were built from scratch, with certain parts coming off from who knows where. So far, this is the only Junkion used in the Combiner Wars mold, but thanks to repro labels, you can take a few extra Wreck-Gars and convert them into different characters. Just look at the one with the port head. That is genius! Don't get me wrong, I like the head. The distinct features give off the proper aura, like the windshield shape, handlebars, and who could forget the facial hair. But it just looks so small compared to the body, and the slick silhouette might not fit with the overall look of the body. The result looks like a cosplayer who built the body himself, but the helmet is an obvious store-bought purchase. Did someone say, articulation? Ball jointed head, ball joint shoulders, rotation below, elbow bend, waist rotation, ball joint hips, rotation below, and knee bend. Posing is fine, but if you got groove, you know what you're getting into. You can't get him to write the Legends form, but it looks like a weird adult in Walmart trying the kids' bikes. Let's take a look at the weapons. He comes with the common Prime Armor piece, reused as the Combiner hands, properly swapped from the Combiner Wars mold. You can replace this silver block to add a Prime Master, and you can add it to underneath this arm, into the hand, or right on the chest. Right on the chest. Right on the chest! It doesn't go in the chest. You could also use the Great Block as an additional weapon or vacuum, and he also comes with the saw blade reused from the very original Reveal the Shields toy. Kinda surprised they didn't just build a new one, considering it doesn't really work too well with the toy. You can't clip it into the hand midway, all you can do is add it to the bottom. It's serviceable, but not what I prefer. You can leave it in pizza cutter or aggressive pizza cutter mode. In leg mode, yep, it certainly is a leg, has a massive kneecap formed from the front of the bike, and you'll need to provide a foot, but yeah, it's standard. In R mode, I personally prefer it. The wheel feels like a reference to the original Wreck-Gar, but that's just my mind telling me things I want to hear. You can flip up the wheel if you like, there's a double elbow joint, and thanks to the long weapon, you can attach this to the bottom thumb, and he's doing it! He's really holding a pizza cutter! So you're probably thinking, hey, what's with all the talking? Just make stupid jokes, you gay! Well, there's a lot to unpack here. I don't think the energy is all here, and a lot of the components like the weapons doesn't really translate well to the complete figure. However, for a repaint, I'm surprised how the base figure actually does work. It's gonna be an overlooked exclusive, but if you're missing out on a Wreck-Gar or want an additional mold for a Junkion team, this is fine. Not a flawless toy, but I guess this being scraps of older toys is somehow poetically fitting. Special thanks to the Dabber Supreme for sending this figure. I appreciate it. If you can't get into this toy, that's fine. But if it's because they put facial hair on the robot, your overlooking judgment disappoints me. Honor the facial hair!